What's up, guys? Alright, so I did a little something. I purchased a new Pew Pew. I will be honest, it's not something that was on my radar. I really wasn't in the market for a new gun, because I have guns I like. I got my Glock and I got my Walther for pistols. I'm comfortable with them. I have ammo for them. I got shit set up for them. But with the deal that was going on with this firearm, and now as an instructor trying to get into some red dots with pistols and keep it up to date with what's going on in the market, figured what the hell, it's a good deal, and I'll do a little overview of the gun. I haven't shot it yet. I haven't really carried it yet because I don't have a holster. But I'll do an overview of it, and I will do a comparison video probably later on with the Glock, because they're about the same size. But without further ado, the Springfield Echelon. Now, this is a pretty unique firearm in the fact of a few things on it. But for all intents and purposes, it's a Glock style firearm, polymer striker fire gun. The reason I bought it from the box from the factory, it came with 5 magazines, a storage case, a carrying case, and the optic. Now, granted, it's a cheap optic, but for someone who's not used to optics on pistols yet, I think this is a decent starter. We'll see how long it lasts and what I think about it. I will probably more than likely upgrade the optic on this, and this might go on to maybe my 22 or something, I don't know. But for the money, 5 magazines, optic, I didn't mention a night sight, okay, $700, which I know when these came out a couple of years ago, they were a little cheaper, but the market keeps going up, and, well, what are you going to do? But my thought is if it came with just 2 magazines, no optic, this is just what I got, I'd be spending minimum $200 on the optic, probably more like $300. And each one of these magazines is $45. So for another 3 magazines, it's almost $150. So 300 plus 150, that's $450. And base market price on this is, say, $75, $700. Saving me a little bit of money up front. So I'm like, you know what, screw it. And it's a cheap range bag, but it's a range bag. You can never have too many. So let's go over what came with the gun. Just a little storage case, nothing fancy. It says Springfield on it. Same thing here, Springfield Armory. This is, you got a nice storage pocket. And then actually, the inside of this is actually pretty spacious. You open it up, I got 2 sleeves. I can put 2 guns. And pockets for magazines or tools or whatever. So, nice. And, not that anyone cares, but it's actually not made in China. It's made in Myanmar, which is probably no better, but anyway. Magazines. They're nice metal magazines, so that's probably why they cost 45 bucks a piece. New York, we're limited to 10 rounds, but standard is 15. I think in a free state would come with 3 15s and 2 18, 19 round magazines. Not bad. The optic is a Crimson Trace, just a cheap micro optic. Like I said, something to start out on. I'm not too worried about it. I'll replace it eventually. Probably either with a Hollow Sun or a Vortex. I'm a big Vortex guy. All my optics on my rifles are Vortex, so that's probably what I'll go to. Anywho, what else did it come with? It came with this little cover because this is a always-on optic. So if you put the cover on at night when you're not using it, it will dim the light or dim the optic. Without muzzling myself, there's a U-notch. Glock, take a hint. A nice U-notch and not a field post thing. I hate Glock stock sights. And I don't know how I can see this, but there is a green fiber optic front. Or not fiber optic, tritium front. And as you can see, maybe, there's the dot. And the other thing that's nice about this is, again, cheap optic, but the way this sits and with the notch cut into it, that optic does allow stock sights. I am going to muzzle myself, but it is safety checked. To co-witness. I don't know why more companies can't do this. Tigger, get down. Cat wants to say hi. As per usual, just don't get out. Get out. Get. Come on, bud. Get out. For the log, comes with a lock, which I don't use. I use for other shit. These are all the pins for the optic system. So when you take the optic off, this can fit, I think it was 30 optics. And instead of having plates, you have 2 set pins, and then you orient these pins for your footprint. So pretty neat. And it'll sit. That way the optic actually sits to the slide versus on a plate. So I think that's pretty neat. Comes with some bat straps, kind of like the old M&P style with the pin on them. I have small hands, or medium hands. I actually put the large on here. This is a very ergonomic, very slim pistol. The large, for whatever reason, fits better. My Walther, I have the medium, and the Glock, I just run stock, and since I have it sitting here, Glock, I just run bare. And that feels very similar. But you can get, the other neat thing with this is it's kind of copying Sid's chassis system, where the trigger group is the firearm, the sealerized part. So you can take the chassis out, put different frames on them and slides and whatever. because they do have different frames now. This has been out for a couple of years. Probably nothing I'm going to change on it, but I like the option with that, and I think that having that kind of system is not a bad thing. The more user-friendly you can make a gun, I think the better. It's a great selling point. The thing that got me on this gun was aesthetically, it's a very pleasing to look at firearm. There's some nice lines and symmetry and proportions to it. It kind of reminds me, looking at it, of a Glock mixed with a Beretta APX, because of this kind of between the grip and the slide cuts here, and the PDP with the really deep slide cuts. But it's got a lot of just Glock qualities to it. Another thing to note on the slide is you have kind of these two little fins on the back here, like the VP9 from H&K. So if you slingshot slide, which I don't really recommend, I recommend more of an overhand, but sometimes with the optic I can maybe understand more of a slingshot, or just coming up front to do it. There's stippling pretty much everywhere on the gun. Nice grip texture from the grip up through where your thumbs are going to sit, or your trigger finger. Your takedown levers stippled. These little gas pedal type cuts are stippled, and they're in a great spot for thumbs forward grip. Slide is very smooth. Trigger is nice because unlike a Glock, but the Walther does this too, where the safety actually goes into the trigger and you have a flat face trigger, or a flatter face trigger. How do I want to do this? Yeah, let's do it this way. So, trigger pull. Little take up. And you come right to the wall. Maybe a little bit of creep. About 6 pound pull. I would say it's not broken in either, but it's more than my Walther, which is like a 4.5, 5 pound trigger. I would say more like 4.5 pound trigger. That's a very light trigger on that gun. My Glock. Still, after probably close to 2,000 plus rounds on this gun, still gritty. And I don't like how this trigger, or the safety on that trigger, doesn't fully go into the trigger, because you can always feel it on your fingertip, and I don't like that. When you're shooting, it's not as bad, but similar in the pull weight, but it's definitely a more definitely a smoother trigger. I like it. Reset. Right there. Pretty tactile. It's audible. It doesn't do the finger push that the Glock does. So you'll see here, bang. Kind of pushes your finger forward. So it doesn't do that, but still, it's a good trigger. I like it. Slide lock, slide releases are very small and minuscule. So just here kind of toying around with it. They're not the easiest for me to lock the slide back, but it's whatever. They are fully ambidextrous, so you got them on the righty side for your right thumb, and they are on the right side of the gun for your lefty people like me for your left thumb. It does not take much, but you do have to kind of be deliberate when you're hitting it. Unlike Glock, this isn't really a comparison video, but this is definitely more of a shelf. Oh, well, this is going to pick up there, but definitely more of a shelf type release versus the Glock, which is I don't know how you would say it. It's not even a shelf. It's just something that you can... I don't know how to describe it if I'm being honest. But it's in a good place. Having not shot it yet, I don't know how during shooting if it's going to go to slide lock or not, but we will try. The magazines, as it is, do lock the slide back, but with how my grip is going to be, I don't know if it will stay at slide lock. We'll see. We'll have to shoot it. Oh, everything. Fully ambidextrous magazine lock. Or magazine lock. Magazine release. Normal. Lefty. Righty. Now, FN, when I carried an FN for work when I was on the armored truck, it had an ambi, same type of thing, ambi magazine release. However, the standard side worked, the other side not so much. So, just out of habit, and both of my other personal guns, I don't swap them, I just keep them on the righty side, and I just use my trigger finger to release the magazine. Came with a speed loader, kind of like the Glocks do. I use them sometimes if I'm shooting a lot and my thumbs get tired. But there's that. It's definitely a nice, light, ergonomic, easy pointing firearm, and I think it looks nice. And for the features that come on it, you got kind of a beveled magazine well. The takedown on it is actually pretty similar, if I'm not mistaken, to how my FN used to be. You lock it to the rear, you push your takedown lever, and I know the first time can kind of be a bear on some of these. And yeah, it is a bear on this one. Good Lord. I know when my FN, it was very stiff, and this is no different. Doesn't help my hands are sweaty. So let's try and do this here. If I can rotate this. Forward. Oh, come on. There we go. I'll blame that on part of my hands being pretty sweaty right now, but you rotate that down, send it home, No trigger pull. Okay. So this comes apart. You have the normal internals. And I assume you pop this pin out and the chassis will come out. That would just be my 2 seconds of looking at it. But there's your internals. I'm actually surprised with how this came. Did not come very lubed at all. There's your recoil spring and guide rod. It's a plastic guide rod. Barrel here. A little bit of lube on it, but you got a polished feed ramp, standard 4-inch barrel. Your drop safety plunger, striker mechanism. Pretty stiff striker on it. Stratter. Yeah. So after this video, I'm probably going to throw some oil on it. Not that it needs to run wet, but I'd rather it have a little bit of lube on it, because this is almost dry as a bone. When I did my Glock, there was a lot of gunk in it, if I remember correctly. Top, you have the Springfield emblem stamped into it. And supposedly with this sight, the brightness is an auto adjuster. It's been I can see it fine. Yeah, it's interesting. First impressions, I like it. Takedown is definitely not as easy as a Glock or my Walther, but I'm sure that little lever will break in eventually. And we'll take it to the range next week, and we shall see. Or maybe I'll pop a few rounds some point this week in the backyard. We'll see. But that is the Springfield Echelon. I'm putting it back together. Okay. Lock it back to the rear again. Spin that down. Drop it. And it functions.